Hello students, as you know, we are at 4th chapter of Hornbill, Landscape of the Soul. I have given you 2 more videos. Now I am going to start the third part of chapter 4, Landscape of the Soul. In my last video, I told you the difference between the Chinese painting and Asian painting. Now, in the Chinese story, the emperor commissions a painting and appreciates its outer appearance. But the artist reveals to him the true meaning of his work. Okay? As you can understand, in Chinese story, although the emperor selected one painting, he appreciated this painting, but he was appreciating its outer appearance. Okay, he could not understand the real meaning of its work. Okay, the emperor could not understand the real meaning of the painting, and it was told him by the painter himself. The narrator says that the emperor may be rule over the territory he has conquered, but the artist knows the way within. Okay, although the king is ruler, he can rule every part, every city, every country he has conquered, but the real meaning of art can be understood by the painter only, the artist only. Only the artist know what is said in this painting. Okay, as I am telling you, the artist can understand the real meaning of the painting. Let me show the way. The Tao, a word that means both the path or the method and the mysteries work in the universe. When Bu Daoji, okay, the painter, when he said to the king, let me show the way. Okay, he wanted to show the way inside the cave to the king. So this word means that both the part or the method and the mysteries works in the universe. Okay, how he disappeared from the cave, how the door was closed. As you know, it was a painting, still it was having so many mysteries, and the king could not understand. Only the artist made him to know all these things. So as you know, we are discussing classical Chinese painting. So a classical Chinese landscape is not meant to reproduce an actual view. Okay, in Chinese landscape, the actual view is not reproduced. That we have seen mountains, we have just drawn it, and whatever the nature aspect we have seen and we have drawn only as both a Western figurative painting. Okay, in Western painting, the paintings become figurative, means they just figure it out. There become no illusion, there become no any mystery and these things. Okay, there are two types of art paintings: illusionistic in Asia and figurative in Europe, okay, in Western. So, in Western countries, in European painting, the painter wants us to borrow his eye to look at a particular landscape exactly as he saw it from a specific angle. Okay, in European painting, the painter wants us to borrow his eyes. Means we should we should look at his painting as he had painting, as he had described, because we cannot understand. We need to borrow his eyes to know about it painting from a specific angle. But the Chinese painter does not choose a single viewpoint. Okay, a Chinese painter does not want us to borrow his eyes. His landscape is not a real one. You can enter it from any point. Okay, in Chinese painting, we can enter from any point. The Chinese painter do not paint a real painting only. Okay, we can watch it as we want. We can describe it as we want. Now, and we can go wherever we want. The artist creates a path for your eyes to travel up and down and then back again in a leisurely movement. Okay, we can see this painting from wherever we want. We can move in this paintings through our eyes everywhere we want. Okay, there is no restriction from painter's side. It means we can see the painting as we think. Okay, we no need to borrow the painter's eye to understand this painting. Okay, and now we can travel, as you know, I have told you, everywhere we want. This is even more true in the case of horizontal scroll. Okay, in horizontal scroll, we can see one after another and it becomes like a story. Okay, the action of slowly opening one section of the painting, then rolling up to move to the another, means just like an story, the parts opens and we can move leisurely, we can move freely. But it also requires the active participation of the viewer, who decides at which pace he will travel through the painting. Okay, so in this painting, the participation, which is physical as well as it should be mental also. Okay, we can move, but we should move our eyes also. Okay, our mind also should be at the painting. We should know the painting through our mind also. The Chinese painter does not want us to borrow his eyes, he wants us to enter his mind only. Okay, in European painting, we need to borrow painter's eye to understand the painting, but in Chinese painting, we don't need to borrow painter's eye. Okay, we can enter from wherever we want. The landscape is an inner one, spiritual and conceptual space. Okay, it is full of feelings, like we can do whatever we want with these paintings. We can understand the painting as we want. Okay, students, as you know, we have completed 3 parts of chapter 4th. Now I am going to start the remaining part of this chapter 4, the landscape of the soul. So as I told you in my last video that the Chinese painter, he doesn't want us to borrow his eye to understand his painting. He wants us to enter in his mind. Okay, and the landscape becomes inner one, the spiritual one. And this concept is expressed as Shanshui. Okay, Shanshui. And its meaning is mountain water. Okay, the meaning of bird Shanshui is mountain water, which used together represent the bird landscape. Okay, when we are drawing just a mountain and water at the bottom of that mountain, it is of course a landscape, because both of these things, mountain and water, are part of nature. So this mountain water is landscape in itself. It is more than two elements of an image. Okay, for Chinese people, these things, for Chinese painter, these two things, the mountain and the water, these are more than two elements of an image. These represent two complementary poles. Okay, these जो हमारे पूरक ध्रुव हैं बेटे, एक दूसरे के बिना विच आर इनकम्प्लीट, दे आर कंसिडर्ड एज द यूनिवर्सल कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री पोल्स, and these things are reflecting the Taoist view of the universe. Means these mountain and the water are reflecting what Taoist, means the people who follow Tao's painting. So what they think of these things, it is described by these two poles of universe. Okay, means these are the most important factors of the universe. The mountain is yang. Okay, mountain is described as yang. Yang means reaching vertically toward heaven, stable, warm and dry in the sun. Okay, what kind of mountains are we see? Thus, they are just vertically reaching toward heaven. They are stable, they are warm, and they are dry in the sun. And the water is called yin. Okay, mountain is called yang, but water is called yin. And yin is just opposite to yang. Okay, means water is just opposite to mountain, because water is horizontal, resting on the earth, fluid, moist and cool, but the mountains are vertical towards heaven, stable, warm and dry in the sun. Okay, but yin, which is the water, it is horizontal, resting on the earth, fluid, moist and cool. The interaction of yin, the respective feminine aspect of universal energy. Okay, as you know, male and female are also most important part of this universe. And these yang and yin, mountain and water, are reflected as the complementary pole of the universe. And in these, mountain is symbolized for masculine gender, and water is reflecting the feminine aspect of the universal energy. Okay, and as you know, yin is the feminine aspect of universal energy, and its counterpart yang, means mountain, is active, and masculine is of course a fundamental notion of Taoism. Okay, it is active and masculine, as I have told you. What is often overlooked is an essential third element. Okay, there is one third element which is missing in China.